Right. Today, I want to talk about humor, comedy, laughs, ha-has, yucks. For those of you who have been following me over all these years, will know that for a good portion of my career, I've done a lot of things focused on comedy, specifically my covers. I didn't start off that way because I didn't know if we could, even though that those were the kind of things that I grew up loving the most. I grew up a Mad Magazine kid before I was ever into comics or superhero comics. I collected Mad Magazine. I subscribed to Mad Magazine. I cut off the subscription things from the back cover and sent it in with my check from my paper route money, and I subscribed, and they shipped it to me every month. And it was my first time where I felt like, oh man, I'm a grown up in fifth grade or something. And so humor was always a big part of my life, from The Far Side and editorial cartoons like, with artists like Borgman and McNally, and obviously Calvin and Hobbes and Peanuts and Garfield and all what I consider to be observational humor. For me, I got into comics and, did what I thought I was supposed to do, which is, draw cool superheroes and the cool action pose. And I was trying to learn how to be the best artist, draw the best, learn all the rules. Yeah, just trying to be an illustrator. But what I realized quickly in those early years was that was not really that fun for me. I was in comics. I was working at big companies. I was at Marvel. I was, being featured in Wizard Magazine and being guests at big conventions, and it was working, but it didn't feel that fun at the beginning. It felt hard. Like everything was so hard. And what I realized after a while is because I was fighting against a little bit of what I am naturally as an illustrator or cartoonist. I guess that's what it is. I had to realize I'm a cartoonist. What I see that definition as is somebody who uses, art to tell stories. And I don't mean writing stories or graphic novels. We all do that. But I mean, for me, a cartoonist is all about conveying ideas in a single image or a short strip. I don't know. I'm sitting here trying to define the word cartoonist. I don't think there is. I'm making it up, by the way. I don't care. Terms are just terms. Words are words. But I realized that I was more of a cartoonist than an illustrator. I wanted to convey thoughts and ideas through images, and that was my goal. So I started to let go of the ultimate goal of being the best drawer. That didn't check any boxes for me. Like mastering the art of illustration just held no value for me. So I found myself just letting all of that side of art go and going back to kind of the core of me, which is trying to find some humor in things. And once I started doing that, I remember one of the first covers that Marvel let me kind of lean into on the humor side was it was like a Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man cover, and it had Deadpool on it. And I put Deadpool in Cable's shoulder pads and guns and pouches and knee pads and all that. Somebody had thought that I was making fun of 90s comics and I was, but not in a negative way. I was doing it in a Mad Magazine way, which is you poke fun at the things you like the most. It was like, I grew up loving Youngblood. I grew up loving Spawn. I watched all those books launch and I fell in love with them. I was a perfect age for that. And I always loved the absurdity of Cable's shoulder pads and the crazy weapons and all the extra bells and whistles that Rob designed him with. I loved it. And so I thought, God, that'd be funny if Deadpool was playing dress up with Spider-Man and he put all that stuff on Spider-Man and was like, cool, we can team up now, buddy. So that was kind of one of my first, I remember being able to kind of get away with a little Mad Magazine flavor, a little like Sergio Aragonés, a little Far Side humor. And all of a sudden, I found kind of a new true north for me as far as what made me happy in cartooning. And then in 2012, when I got asked to do the baby covers or the young variants or whatever they're called now, I thought, wow, this is a great opportunity for me to add humor and make humor the star of these covers. I'm never going to be the best drawer. I'm never going to draw better than fill in the blank. I'm never going to draw better than half the people out in that industry. But I don't care I don't even know what better means. What I knew then was like, I just wanted to figure out something to keep me having fun. Also, when I started doing the little Marvel covers, I clearly was not the first person to draw in this little style, like the chibi style it's known as, or the cartoon version or whatever, baby version. I was not the first person to do this. I was asked to do it. They said, "Hey, remember, Arthur Adams did the X Babies, do Avengers versus X-Men in X Babies style." And I was like, "Okay, cool." Like, I just didn't want to make them little. I needed to add another level, and that other level was like, let's find a joke for these covers if we can. And I honestly think that's what made them stand out, and that's what's made them last. Again, I wasn't the first person to draw in that style. I'm definitely not even the best person that draws in that style. I don't view it as that. I view it as me doing one panel comic strips. I think that it gives everybody something a little different. And like I said, it lets everybody laugh at the thing that we love the most. If you're a huge Iron Man fan, I'm going to give you a couple Iron Man jokes that you're going to know is funny, because even though we love stuff, we also can see their silly little, we can see the cracks in the armor a little bit here and there. You see how I did that, cracks in the armor, and I'm talking about Iron Man? Didn't even know that was coming up. Woo. I'm on fire this morning. Coffee's hitting. So yeah. Okay. So that's kind of a little bit of the history of me and the reason why I want to start adding humor to covers. So let's talk about the cover that I'm inking right now. We've got I Hate Fairyland. We got Hit Up, that we all can, that everybody at Image, if they want, if they have a book coming out that month, that Youngblood's coming out, that we can add Youngblood to our covers. A lot of you guys know me. I grew up through the 90s and watched Image launch. Youngblood was one of my first comics, period, that I bought myself. Loved it. Ended up later, my first complete skate deck I bought on my own. That wasn't a hand-me-down or like somebody else's old deck. The first one that I saved up and bought complete and ordered was Acme Skateboards had a shaft board. They did a deal with Extreme with Rob, and so I had shaft was on the bottom of my skateboard. That was a big deal. So I was pretty pumped to be able to come in and do this cover and mix my first comic that I really bought myself with my first creator-owned comic that I created, wrote, and drew myself. I don't draw Fairyland anymore, still writing it. Derek Loftman's on duties right now, but I had to definitely do the Youngblood cover. So again, my first instincts when I decided to start sketching this was, okay, let's get Youngblood in this action pose and have Gert joining in the action. And then instantly was like, you know what? It doesn't feel like me. It doesn't, having Chapel run and Die Hard flying at you and Shaft shooting an arrow and Gert. It just felt like, well, that's what everybody else will do. I feel like with those kind of action covers, I spend more time trying to avoid what others have done instead of trying to think up a new thing that could be done. And that's why I love humor, in that it's not something that everybody usually goes for. Again, I don't have to go, well, 3 other artists already drew this version of Shaft shooting the arrow. Now I've got to figure out a way to draw him shooting the arrow that looks different from their Shafts shooting the arrow. And I'm not that good. Like I can't do it. Like it's just, so what would be funny? I thought, oh my God, we're in the middle of a collector's era right now. Everybody wants signed books, slabbed books. Everybody's on Whatnot. Everybody's selling things. Everybody's collecting. So I thought, let's lean into that and let's do a collection. Gert is collecting the heads of Youngblood characters. Once I hit that idea, it was like, okay, do I want to really draw a room or do I want to do that old school, play set type thing? I always view images like this as not really needing to be in a full conceived 3D room, but more of like a stage play. I like thinking of covers like stage plays, which you'll have the character, your gag, or your subject, and then a few props to set the scene, but it doesn't need a full set built. Or I think of it as like a little toy package. Like you'll get an action figure and then it comes along with, a little prop to make you feel like, oh, the action figure is like in a place. But anyway, so I had Gert walking around the bookshelf. I needed somewhere to put the heads. So I was like, well, she has a collection of books. They're on the top of the bookshelf. Like this is where I keep all my toys here in the studio, is on top of my bookshelves. But then I was like, I need to populate the set with a few more props. And listen, I am a big Rob Liefeld fan. I always have been. I know we've all heard the f***ing jokes. I shouldn't. I'm gonna have Jamie edit that out with a little record scratch. Shouldn't be cussing. We've all heard the jokes. Rob never draws feet. Everybody's heard the pouches jokes. Blah, 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 blah. I'm just going to go ahead and put this out here right now. I obviously put pouches and feet in this cover with a little bit of a joke, like a big collection of feet, a big collection of pouches. That is not me making fun of those. Those are me making fun of the people that keep trying to nail that joke. It is hilarious how obsessed people are with the joke of Rob not drawing feet. First of all, Rob draws feet all the time. Second of all, no comic in the history of comics has anybody ever said, you know what would make this comic better? More feet. Zero. I've never opened a comic book, A, counted feet, B, looked for feet, or C, thought, man, this would be way, way better if it had more feet. It's the weirdest. It is the weirdest knock that is out there. I'm very tired of it. I've been hearing it for so many years. So that's my joke, is like, here you guys go. Tons of feet. Does that make your comic better? Does that make the cover better? The feet? There's more feet. You guys are obsessed. You guys have a foot fetish. It's weird. And here's the thing with pouches. I don't make fun of pouches because they're dope. Almost every character I've ever thought about designing, I'm like, well, you know what this character needs around the waist? Some pouches. You know why? Because you carry shit. Pouches are dope. If you go look at any tactical army situation or soldier or whatever, you know what they're covered in? Pouches. I mean, what a weird thing. We are talking about books where people open up other dimensions and they have fangs and they eat blood and then we got zombies. We accept everything and we get hung up on these weird things like pouches and not enough feet. And what a weird industry we are in sometimes. But anyway, pouches are dope. Feet, whatever. So threw those as little Easter eggs for everybody to lean in and be like, haha, these are great. Also, got to throw in the fun old school image. Rob, Todd, Capullo did it. Everybody used to sign their names on the little like ripped parchment. I think it's, man, I couldn't wait when I was young to get older and get in the business. And so I could figure out what I was going to put my name on. At one point I designed like a full turntable in Photoshop and signed my name on a record on a turntable. I mean, just ridiculous. I was obnoxious. Now I just write my name. But anyway, I had to throw that on there, throw some big cool image young blood guns on the wall. And there, boom, we've got some humor on the cover. This book, if you're just listening to this now, FOC is on Monday. If you're listening to this down the road, it should be available out in the world. Go find it. And I'll see you guys around. Thank you.